Good evening, everyone. This is the Board of Selectmen meeting. Today is October 17th at 6:01. And this meeting is being recorded and broadcast via our local cable access channel WCAT, Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in the audience is recording, please let us know. Also, when you talk, direct to the board, state your name and where you live, or if you are from town or aboard. And to get started, we're going to get everyone up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So first, we have a public hearing. Will be held under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 166, Section 22, for the purpose of erecting 2 poles with 2 anchor poles and a wire to be placed at 588 Dunham Road, Warren, at the request of National Grid for new service. Anticipated vote.
Good evening, Ken Kriegel for National Grid.
How are you?
So these 2 poles are for a new customer service, and there are no facilities in front of that area of the street.
Got it, Rich?
Oh, right here. So right here, right?
Correct, right at the south side of that field.
I can hear.
Yep.
So a new house going in?
Correct.
Okay.
2 poles, 1 on each side of the road.
Yes, there's too many trees to stay on one side of the road.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
Too many trees. We like trees. You have any questions?
No, I don't think so. No.
Do you have any other detail? That's it, we're good? Looks good to me.
Yeah, the only abutters are the Sportsman's Club and the neighbor, which I believe is a relative.
That would be me.
Okay.
I have no objection.
Okay,
He's my
could
son,
you
so-
come and just state your name and
Okay.
where you're from? Thank you.
My name's William Rowlett. I'm from 590 Dunham Road, Warren.
Thank you. You have anything to discuss?
No, that's
I
fine.
think it's straightforward.
Yep. So I'll make a motion to,
Mr.
Wait,
Chairman?
wait, wait.
Mr. Chairman, if you could just ask if there's anybody else in the audience that would oppose this, just for the record.
Is there anybody in the audience that it is opposed or wants to say something about it, or even in Zoom land? Are we good? Hearing none? We're good, Jim?
Close the hearing.
Okay. Thank,
all right, I'll make a motion to close the hearing for the poll hearing for 588 Dunham Road.
I second that, all in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye. Motion approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the erecting of 2 poles with 2 anchor poles. 2, what? 2 anchor,
Poles and wire.
Polls on.
2 poles and 2 anchors?
Well, they're anchor poles, they're still poles.
I know, but it says 2 anchors poles.
They're poles with anchors as a support.
Yeah, okay. All right. To be placed at 588 Dunham Road.
I second that, all in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye. Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have Quabog Regional School District Superintendent Steve Duff for monthly update. Hi, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So our first update, as you know, we did receive an IVAC grant. The grant did go out to bid, and we did have 2 bidders on the grant. The lowest bid came in just north of it came in at $424,000. We are anticipating it to come in around $600,000, which is great news. The grant sum that we received was $304,000, which leaves the difference of $120,000. Before we move that and ask for a capital improvement plan or capital improvement project from the town of Warren and the town of West Brookfield, there are going to be some National Grid incentives. At Monday's school committee meeting, we'll sign a contract with the company that received the bid or had the lower bid, and then we'll be able to figure out what those incentives are. The original look at it was hopefully around $150,000 in incentives. And if that's the case, we'll be able to replace all the controls at Quabog Regional Middle High School at no cost to either towns, either Warren or West Brookfield. The controls are what control the heating unit, so we'll have thermostats in each classroom, which will be a significant saving in fuel like we've seen at Warren Elementary School. So that's great news. Congratulations to our grant writer, Madeline Smola, and to Mark Estrella for orchestrating this IVAC project. So hopefully at our next meeting, I'll be able to tell you what the incentives are. We can't figure out the incentives until we sign the contract. So we'll have a field study we'll have a field study with the company, not next week, but the following week, to figure out what we can get for incentives with National Grid. So that's great news for the town, and it's great news for the school district as well. Our transportation bid, we talked a little bit about this last time. We will be going out for bid for transportation. The state does do a reimbursement for transportation bids, so we will be reimbursed for the amount that we actually go out for the bid. The state will reimburse up to $10,000. The cost of the bid to have it bidded out will be $9,800. So once again, it'll cost the school district and the towns no money to do the transportation bid. That'll be out at the end of November. The Student Opportunity Act update, we did receive funding for the Student Opportunity Act, and that's for early literacy. We're able to hire a second literacy coach, which the Student Opportunity Act doesn't allow us to surplant positions within our budget. It allows us to supplement, meaning add additional positions to help with early literacy. So we will have 2 literacy coaches this year instead of 1 because of the Student Opportunity Act, which will continue to help with our great scores that we've been receiving both through MCAS and AP and all the other accolades that we received. A lighting upgrade update. We do have National Grid and Guardian coming in to look at the auditorium. We're hoping that that'll qualify for some incentives through National Grid. They'll pay for 50% of it if we hit the qualification. The stadium field did not. The stadium field only had 500 hours worth of hours on it a year. You have to have at least 1,000. However, we have a company that was recommended through one of our inspectors in town that did some projects in the area at other schools that retrofit into the current poles that we have that are at a much better cost than it would be if we went through the company that has the poles on site. Community cleanup update. I'll put it out to the community again. We've had 2 people sign up. Quabog students are willing to help any elderly or disabled folks within the community to help do fall cleanup at no charge to any of the community members. We're starting this Saturday with 2 folks that signed up, but if there's anybody out in the audience, we've posted it on Facebook, we've sent flyers out. Please feel free to reach out to the school on that. Teacher negotiations, it is a contract year. We talked a little bit about that. Those will start next month on November 14th. And we're hoping to get through teacher negotiations prior to the budget season starting, only so that we know exactly what we're going in for the budget. Our safety update, I always give as many kudos as I can to Chief Millette and Chief Lavoie. Eric Urban, who is our safety committee chairperson, does a spectacular job. FlexCon did donate a significant amount of, it's a white barrier on the outside, so you can't see into classrooms, but you can see outside of it. We put it out on the back of the building just to see what it would look like. It looks spectacular. The initial cost on that would have been over $100,000. So we have all the material donated for Quabog, and we're going to do both elementary schools as well once we get the specs in. So a huge shout out to FlexCon for supporting our community here. Chief Millette, Detective Morin, and the Warren Police Department did a great job with our ALICE training for our 7th graders. When we do our training for situations that occur within a school district, our trainings at the elementary building are a lot different than your training when you get to 7th through 12th grade. There's different aspects of ALICE that you can incorporate at the older grade levels. So our 7th graders were trained 2 weeks ago by Chief Millette and Detective Morin, and they did a spectacular job with our 7th grade students. We are building a concession stand at Quabog. It was an earmark from Senator Smoller from the state. It was a $100,000 earmark to build a concession stand with bathrooms. We're finally happy to say that we are well on our way on that. We did have a perk test on Monday. We have all the plans that we'll give to Building Inspector Cantel. So we have everything in place. We're hoping to get the foundation in before the cold weather and then build in the spring, or we might just do it all at once. So everything is in good working shape for that. So we're excited to have that down at the field for, not just when we have sporting events, but we have lots of community members that come down and walk the track and things like that. So it'll be nice to have bathrooms down there as well as running water. We did receive, and I want to give a huge shout out. Was that on your agenda, Chief Lavoie?
No, it wasn't.
Well, I'd like to give Chief Lavoie a huge shout out. Senator Oliveira did give us a $50,000 earmark to the school in conjunction with the Warren Fire Department for equipment for our fire academy. What we do when we have earmarks or we have grants, we coordinate with the Warren Fire Department on equipment that is usable not only for us at the school, but also usable for the Warren Fire Department. The level of communication and collaboration that we have within our town departments, I say it every month, is you don't see this in other towns. So just being able to have Chief Lavoie on our side and us on their side allows Chief Lavoie to get valuable training equipment for not only the students at Quabog, but for members of the Warren Fire Department. So that's a win-win situation. Project 211, I had the I had the honor of spending a couple hours with Town Administrator Ferrera last week with a project that's called Project 211. And what that has to do is it has to do with the foundation budget that the state puts out. And as we, and we say this every year, and that's why I don't really say it anymore. We've been saying forever that the budget is broken, that it doesn't take into account smaller districts like ours and districts a bit further west. What I didn't realize is we're in hold harmless status, meaning though your enrollment declines, your costs don't. So they try to make up the difference between what the foundation budget is and what the cost of the district is to run. And I didn't realize that there were 211 districts that are in hold harmless, which are very similar to the situation that we run into Warren and West Brookfield with Quabog. I didn't realize it was that significant of an issue until we had the presentation last week. I just want to bring to the attention that they are looking at sponsoring a couple of bills. One of the bills that they'll sponsor, and I'll send you the information. I don't know if she sent it to you yet or
She
not.
did, yeah.
She did. Okay,
Yeah.
is Bill 301. And right now, the town of Warren's or the state contribution for the town of Warren is at 59%. If they were to lower that to 54%, it would be a savings to the town of Warren of about $300,000. So that's one of the bills that they're pushing. One of the big pieces that I took away from it, and I know that we'll have more Zoom meetings with Jim and with the Mars Committee, is that I think the idea is to pick a couple of bills and then get everybody behind those two bills rather than picking 20 bills and trying to push 20 forward. Pick a couple of bills that make sense and put our efforts behind that. We'll continue to advocate for that as we do every year, but it seems as though this year we're seeing more momentum behind it, and there were quite a few legislators on it as well, which is good. And I know Representative Smola is very invested in that as well as Representative Berthium and Jake Oliveira and Peter Durant. So we're working very closely with our legislators. We're doing everything we can to help offset the cost of running a school. As you all know, it is a business and it is expensive. It's the biggest business in town, but I think that with the level of collaboration that we've had over the last year and a half or so, that we'll continue to do great things and work together to get a budget that makes sense for everybody and gives our kids opportunities. So that's what I have for this month. I know it's a lot, but there are a lot of things that go on day to day. So we're working hard on every initiative that we can to help offset the cost, but also provide an excellent education for our students.
Do you have any questions?
I'm just, with this 211 project, I'm just glad the legislatures are working on it, because I think that's where we all need to put pressure
I agree.
to deal with this, right? Because so enrollment has been going down in this district and others.
Yeah, across the state it's been going down. And what they would say is that when they did the foundation budget back in 1992, they based it on a school district having 2,500 kids with a high school, a middle school, and 3 elementary schools. Districts don't have 2,500 kids with a high school, a middle school, and 3 elementary schools anymore.
Right.
Districts have shrunk. So essentially that formula that they based it on is no longer applicable to 2024 because districts don't have that any longer.
And they never updated it.
Correct.
Until maybe now, I guess, is what.
They'll put some bills in place hopefully to address the inadequacies of what the foundation budget is. But this is why we run into this problem every year, is because it hasn't been addressed.
Yeah.
We talk about it year after year after year, but it seems as if there's a bigger push for it this year. And I'm hoping this Project 211 is certainly something that will be helpful. When the meetings come up, I'll send the invites out to both towns and to anybody who else wants to attend it. It's important that people understand how the budget's made up and how it can implicate things that happen in small towns like Warren and West Brookfield.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
I have 2 questions, Steve. You mentioned, I know the kids and the teachers work together to announce things on Facebook and Instagram, all that. I would like for you to recommend them, make sure that when they announce something, it says the date and the time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it says, oh, game day. Okay, today is game day. Is it today or it was yesterday when it was posted? Or what time is it? Or is it in town or out of town? I think they're doing a great job on it. just, make sure that all the
More
information,
descriptive.
all the
Yep.
information goes in. And then my second question is, we just had the regionalization meeting the other night. Could you give us an update from your point of view?
Sure. So we did have, as you know, there was a regionalization study done, and we've been working on it for, I want to say 2.5, 3 years now, looking to see whether there would be a benefit to taking North Brookfield into the Quabog Regional School District. We did come up with a regional agreement where it gets approved through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. The process of getting that regional agreement approved through DESI has taken a lot of time because there's a lot of language that goes back and forth. And how would you configure, for example, how would you configure the school committee? Would it be 3, 3, and 3? Right now, we have 6 and 6. So we were finally able, about a month and a half ago, finally able to get a regional agreement, including North Brookfield, approved by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. What will happen next is that agreement will go to the school committees, both school committees, North Brookfield and Quabog. If both school committees approve it, the next step would be for it to go to the town for a vote. If one school committee approves it, one school committee doesn't approve it, then it would be dead there. It wouldn't go any further. If the school committees don't approve it, but would approve it with some changes to it, then we would go back to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and we would start again, and we'd have to change some of the language in it. So we do have a DESI-approved regional agreement to include North Brookfield. What will happen is not on Monday's meeting, but in November's meeting, the school committee will vote on that regional agreement. The school committee will have a month to review it. I know Mr. Velez has been an active, thank you, Derek, for your help with it, has been an active participant in the regional study. He's been at every meeting for the last 2.5 years. And so I know that he has a copy of what that agreement looks like. When we did the study, it was to some degree inconclusive about whether it would be beneficial or not. And I spoke about that at one of the select board meeting when I said if I wasn't positive whether it was going to have a significant financial impact in a positive manner for our towns, then it would be something that if I thought it was, I'd stand up on the Hill and I would fight for it because our goal is, obviously to help offset the budget. At this point, I can't in all confidence say whether it would be beneficial or not.
Thank you, Steve.
When's the meeting to vote on it?
It'll be the November, and I'm going to apologize, I don't have the date off the top of my head, but it's the third Monday in November.
Okay.
And also, it got delayed a little bit too, right?
Yeah, the big delay was going back and forth with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. But that agenda will be posted and you'll know when that vote is.
So let's say if everything happens, when do you think it will go to, if it's approved by the school committees of both towns, when are we looking at to put it on the town meeting? What?
If it gets approved, and once again, it depends how quickly North Brookfield puts it on their school committee agenda. But say we approved it in November and North Brookfield approved it in November, it potentially could go on the May ballot for town meeting.
And on that one, all 3 towns have to vote.
Correct.
And all have to vote
In favor.
in favor.
Yep.
Is that 2/3?
I think it's 50% actually, but I'll get that I'll report back to you next month on that
Okay.
one. I don't want to misspeak on that, but I think it's 50%, but it could be 2/3.
But still, all 3, if one town doesn't
If-
want it,
Done.
it just goes
Yep.
dead.
Yep. Okay.
What was was it out of this committee, right? Was it unanimous, the regionalization committee, or was there some dissent?
To approve the regional agreement, it was unanimous.
Okay.
So their goal, throughout the process, so what happened is we did a lot of work with Mars. As you may or may not know, we got a $125,000 grant to do a regionalization study with North Brookfield. And out of that meeting, the goal was to come up with a regional agreement that we could present to the school committees and we could present to the towns if the school committees approved that regional agreement. So the regional agreement was unanimously voted on in favor of the wording of the regional agreement. That doesn't mean that everybody is in favor of regionalizing. it means that they were in favor of the way that the regional agreement was written in order to meet DESI standards.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like a policy committee. You don't always agree on the policy, but if the policy makes sense,
Yeah, right.
then the policy goes
Okay.
into place, even though you might not agree with it. That's
So
kind of
here's the good policy, what do you want to do?
correct.
Kind of thing.
Yep, and it
Okay.
was the committee's job to create that policy.
Okay.
Now it's, the school committee and potentially the town's jobs to vote on whether they think that policy makes sense or not, or that regional
Okay.
agreement.
All right, that's fair.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much.
Good. All right, thank you, guys. I apologize, I have to run to another meeting, but thank you. I hope you guys have a great week.
You too.
You too.
Our next item in our agenda is the fire chief monthly report.
Good evening, Adam Lavoy, Fire Chief. Thank you for having me tonight. This is the monthly report for the fire department for September of 2024. The fire department responded to 38 fire-related calls in September of 2024, which included 11 motor vehicle accidents, 5 medical assists, 3 activated alarms. They were canceled twice. 9 service or assist calls, 1 structure fire, 1 good intent call, 2 power line incidents, 2 investigations, 1 gas emergency, and 1 carbon monoxide event. We responded to 76 EMS calls in September of 2024, and 18 ALS intercepts were required. We did a few inspections, which included 5 smoke and CO inspections, mostly new properties or properties that were being transferred and, or sold. 1 propane tank inspections. In terms of our activities and meetings, Warren EMS personnel held a training for stroke and sepsis emergencies that focused on protocols and treatment procedures for those 2 types of incidents or medical emergencies. Warren Fire personnel completed our classroom portion, which consisted of 2 days of pumps and hydraulics class for all members. This was a great refresher on apparatus, pumps, and water supply procedures. The practical portion or the hands-on portion for this is scheduled at the end of November. There's a lot more that goes into a fire truck than most people think. It's not as simple as just getting water out of it. The drivers or what we call engineers of those trucks are responsible for a lot. And there's a lot of science that goes into this in terms of how you move water and how much water you can move and how much water you can't move. And the pumps and hydraulics thing is takes into account friction loss and distance of hose lays and elevation and all kinds of things that most people don't think of that we have to know. And it's very important to understand how all of that stuff works inside of a truck and how the pumps actually work and everything, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can cause a lot of chaos pretty quickly for the firefighters that are looking for water, and certainly to the truck itself can get damaged if you're not careful about what you're doing. So that's a great refresher. So the hands-on portion will be in November, and we're going to put all of our driver and operators through that. But we do a lot more than I usually list on our monthly report. A lot of visits in the schools. We're in the schools with the SAFE programs every month. We did Fire Prevention Week just recently. So, so we keep outside of the calls, which are more and more each month and each year here. We do a lot outside of that as well.
All right.
Any questions?
No? Thank you.
Chief, I have a naive question. How many gallons can you move in that?
It depends. The average fire trucks nowadays, usually they carry, most of the time, they can be less depending on what the spec of the truck is, but most of your what they call Class A pumpers nowadays will carry about 1,000 gallons of water on board, and they usually have anywhere from a 1,250 gallon per minute pump to about a 1,500 gallon per minute pump. So in theory, you can move 1,500 gallons per minute. There are ways you can get more than that depending on if you have a good pump operator that knows what they're doing and a good supply, but you can't really put out more than you're taking in. So it all depends on what you're doing, whether you're what we call drafting out of a pond or a static part of water, a lake or a pond or something, a swimming pool, there's a lot of things you can do that, and, you can take the water from that, or, if you're running off a hydrant, it all depends on what that hydrant's rated for. It all depends on the diameter of the pipe that's under the ground. It all depends on, the way it's laid out. You can't, if you're using more than one hydrant, you're stealing from one and to use the other. So there's a lot that goes into that. You kind of have to know the local system. In Warren, I think we're right around the 50% area in terms of homes that are within hydrant district or have hydrants available to them, and anybody outside of that, we have it set up with a special run card that will bring tankers to the area. So we bring waters on wheels. Your average tanker in the area, ours is about, current one, we have one on order, but our current one's about 2,300 gallons that carries on board, and most of them, the one we're ordering now is gonna carry 3,000 gallons. So that's the standard of most of the tankers that are coming in the area now, and they're the newer tankers. Brimfield's, I believe, is 3,000. Holland and Wales, I believe, are both 3,000. So that's, they're starting to get a little bit bigger in these rural areas, but, I mean, you have some fire departments out west and down south that are literally running, you know, tractor trailers size pool, you know, hauling things. So that's not what we do here so much, but they don't have any hydrant systems a lot of places. There's many towns around us that have literally no hydrant systems whatsoever. So we're lucky to have the 50% that we have. You know, there's some that are better than others, but, you know, generally speaking, we do have a decent water system that will support us in a majority of the areas in town. So that's a good thing.
Amazing, thank you.
And just for the record, you know, Superintendent Duff did mention that $50,000 earmark, and what that's going to allow us to get for the program is a forcible entry prop and door, which is great for being able to open doors and stuff, teach the firefighter skills on how to break open doors if they have to and everything that goes along that. It's a very rugged prop that we can use over and over and over and over again for years to be able to do that. So we can use that for both the fire department and the program at the school. And we're also purchasing some extrication tools, which will allow us to expand what we have for the fire department, but also allow us to use those for the school when we do the mock accidents, when we do auto extrication, when we go through that whole portion, we're able to use all that equipment for that. So it's super beneficial for us and the program up there. So Jake Oliveira's office was huge. They contacted me and said, hey, listen, we're really interested in this program. We've come up there several times, is there anything we can help you with? And we identified those couple items as something that we would love to add to our arsenal to be able to really teach the students a little bit more in depth as to what we do. We try to model it after the State Fire Academy, and I think the guys do a great job at doing that. And these tools are going to add another whole component to that. So we're really building that up. And, we're just starting the EMT program up there. So that's going for the first time. And, we're up there teaching that. And we have instructors coming in for that. So we're, working with the school to do a lot of good things to hopefully, those programs are really taking off. And it's really been awesome for the students to see how energetic they are about them. So,
Chief, what does
Cool stuff.
EMT means?
what's that?
EMT means?
Emergency medical technician. So, anybody in EMS, emergency medical services, and then you're an EMT. There's a couple different levels of EMT, but it stands for emergency medical technician, and you can do anything from work from a municipality like us and do strictly 911 calls, or you can work in a private setting and do what they call interfacility transfers for people that may have to go to dialysis treatments, cancer treatments, things like that. There's a lot of private ambulance services out there that go from different doctor's appointments, different facilities, and they transfer people in and out, nursing homes, things like that. What we do in town is strictly 911. That's all we do. We don't do any transfers. Our ambulance is dedicated strictly for 911 calls in town.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have our Emergency Management Director Monthly Report. Chief McKean.
Good evening, James McKeon, the Emergency Management Director, Warren. I'm here with my September report. September, as you know, you might have heard, is a National Preparedness Month. We tried to put out some information to educate the public to be aware of what to do in emergencies, and had some literature available here at the town hall. I think some might have been passed out at the tag sale in downtown with the parks too. Then September 3rd, we did our the Warren Sirens test. Everything went good there. September 7th, we met with the Warren PTO, Parent Teacher Association, to plan out the upcoming Trick or Trunk, which is going to be held October 26th, 4 to 7. Myself and one of our CERT leaders attended. September 18th, attended the Wrights Mill Master Plan meeting held at the Senior Center. September 21st, there was a motorcycle accident in West Warren by the Ware Road area. We brought some cones down for the police to use, and they're investigating. Once again, I have numerous amount of cones. If any department needs them, please request them. They're for taken, using.
For the record, Jim has the most expansive collection of cones I've ever seen in my entire
Yes,
life.
and they will
All
be
shapes,
growing.
sizes, colors, and everything else.
Yes,
Everyone with
the
collections
police
of cones.
department has green ones, and that's as time goes on to probably.
Quite amazing.
You can never have enough of cones. I took a couple trainings and what to make lanes and stuff.
Yeah.
To guide people along, and 30 cones is nothing. 50, 100 cones, it adds up quick. So on September 25th, we did our monthly CERT meeting on fire extinguisher safety. 6 members attended. Dan Thibodeau ran that class. That was pretty much the September.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
I don't.
I'm good. Thank you, Jim.
All righty, thank you.
Next, we have review, discuss, and possible vote on any special town meeting warrant articles for the November 21st, 2024 special town meeting anticipated vote. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This before you this evening is a first draft of articles that I put together for the upcoming special in November. The FinCom had met this Tuesday to do an initial review. As you will see within this draft, the ones that the FinCom had recommended are already ones that they have made a determination on. The highlighted ones, Articles 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, and 18, the FinCom has not had a chance to fully review or make a recommendation as of yet. FinCom is going to be meeting this Tuesday at 3 o'clock to continue their review of the articles. Shaping up to be about an 18 total article warrant. I'm still waiting to hear back. There's a potential article number 18. I put a placeholder in there for the Highway Department. Jeremy's going to get back to me as to whether or not he maybe have a deal to purchase a pre-owned truck from another municipality using his receipts reserved for appropriation account. He's not sure yet, but I should have some information on that relatively soon. The first 2 articles are saving articles, okay, that we normally do once free cash has been certified. Free cash is not currently certified, and so I'm anticipating that to be done relatively soon. I know the accountant has been working to get the numbers to the DOR in an expeditious manner. These are my estimates in terms of following what DOR is recommending and following what we've done in the past for putting monies in to stabilization and capital stabilization. I'm anticipating there to be a healthy free cash number, although I don't have a solid number as of this moment, but I'm anticipating it to be a healthy number. Article 2 is up a little bit more into capital stabilization, but don't forget at the annual last time, we used about $90,000 of capital stabilization to work on projects. So, the best practice is once you use it, make sure you also put it back and then some, so it can continue to grow. And that's one of the things that, you know, I'm suggesting that we do here. Article 3 is talking about selectmen matching grants. You know, we recently have 2 state grants that came in. Again, we didn't anticipate, you know, getting those grants, but now that we've secured them, we are going to have to provide some matches. And that number, that 15,000 number, should actually be 15,500. There was a typo there. It should be 500. Article 4 is for vocational education transportation. That is to adjust for the increase. At the time of the budget that we were doing last year, the final numbers from Vanpool were not available at the time of budget. So now that they are, we're going to be asking to transfer that money in. Article 5 talks about professional development staff training. We had 3,000 last year. Although we didn't use it, we were able to get the training for nothing. You know, I would like to continue on this path. I know that some departments have asked for some Excel training that would be costly to send some people to a training that we would need to potentially send some people to, or to have another some type of you know, full staff training on a topic in the spring. So that would allow us to do that. You know, again, you know, I think that's important for the organization. Article 6 is workers' comp has an audit that they do every year, and it's based on the number of employees that the town has during the time of the audit. And it captures that number, and if the number has increased or grown, then the exposure for the town is greater and the premium is higher. And so therefore, there could be a cost associated with the audit. The first year I was here, there was money available to have left over because the budget was anticipated to be higher. Last year we had some additional funds put into the account, and this year again I'm anticipating us having to have some costs associated with the audit. I'm guesstimating it to be somewhere around 4,000. Last year it was around 3,000. We have a couple new hires since then, so that's a best guesstimation. Article 7 talks about capital planning. Although capital planning hasn't taken an official position on this, it has been discussed about changing the date from September 1st to December 1st. And the reason why I'm suggesting that this be taken care of at the fall is because Lori is going to be ordering new books for the bylaws to be printed. And having this simple change fixed now, we can have it printed for the permanent book for the spring. So it would make sense for us to do this minor correction, you know, since we know about it, and I know that it's been talked about. I think Ray has talked about it at some time, you know, as well. Article 8 talks about the town hall chimes. You know, I know the Board of Selectmen have asked me to look into replacing the town hall chime system. There is a company that I received a quote from in May, and that quote at that time was around $12,000. I recently spoke to the person who quoted us back in May, yesterday, and unfortunately, since that May 2024 quote, they don't make that system anymore. And so The system that they do make is approximately $4,000 more. You're looking at a system of about $16,000. And then you would look at if there needs to be any electrical upgrading and wiring that would have to go to the bell tower, as well as the disposal of the old system. That old system is a huge box, that would have to be taken out of there and disposed of, and could be costly. So you're looking at approximately a $19,000 expense to redo and to upgrade the town hall chimes, and that's an estimate.
And taking it out of free cash.
Right. Article 9 is a simple transfer request from the treasurer to cover the retiree medical insurance. I think we had talked about that at our last meeting. Article 10 is a request from the Board of Assessors to do some adjustments within their budget. That article still has some discussion going on. I have a couple questions that I have to follow up with the assessors on, and the FinCom has not made a determination on that article as of yet. I think that the assessors are coming to an upcoming FinCom meeting either Tuesday or the following Tuesday. Article 11, I was notified by the sewer department that they had a prior year bill from Sherman-Williams in the amount of $232.73. We can get that taken care of. Article 12, I did mention this at the FinCom meeting. They hadn't had a chance to fully review it, and nor did the Board of Sewer Commissioners submit this article yet. I'm anticipating them submitting it. Is $28,000 to pay for engineering services to keep the town in compliance with the DEP's administrative consent order by having closed captioning television inspections of all of our sewer lines. And that quote was from Ty and Bond. Article 13 and 14 is from the fire department. We had talked about this in the past, and FinCom recommends about a transfer into the ambulance overtime account due to staffing shortages at the fire department. I know they're in the process of trying to get somebody on board full time, but there are some staffing shortages that we're currently dealing with and need to address that shortage. Article 14 is the ALS life support, working with the fire department. Instead of having that line item go up so high last at the annual, I made a commitment to the fire department that we would address this at the special. And this would address the deficiency within that line. These are anticipated additional calls. Always very tough to budget for, because some years we may have more calls than others. Some years we may have less calls than anticipated. Very tough to budget for. This is a best guesstimate as to where we need to be. Article 15 is doing a transfer to take care of the senior generator issue at the senior center, and to take care of the wiring issue, taking it from the van driver that is currently vacant, and moving that to take care of the senior generator expense. Article 16 is a reconfiguration of money that was down at the last annual town meeting. So we had reserved $11,000 for the senior center bulkhead basement replacement, as well as the rear door replacement, rear exterior door replacement article. We were able to use CDBG funds to cover those expenses, so we're looking to reprogram that money, that $11,000, and to put that towards the senior center kitchen upgrade project, which, by the way, that all of that upgrade items and materials and equipment has been ordered this week, and it's on order, and we should be anticipating seeing that within 4 to 6 weeks. Article 17 is from the town clerk, talking about limiting, not having office hours on Saturday, and we would take and adopt the provisions of MGL, Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 110A, for office hours on Saturday. Article 18 is a potential article that I'm waiting on the Highway Department to get some more information on, but there is a placeholder there. There was some articles for the Selectmen that I had discussed with Karen about, that we feel pretty confident that we can do at a later date with a transfer in May, or possibly at the special in June if needed.
Transfer into OPEB?
Transfer into OPEB, we did transfer into OPEB in June.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see if we could, do it again in June, just keep it on a normal
Okay.
June thing, because we just transferred it in,
All right.
at June at the annual.
Okay,
Good.
I'm good.
Was there any other articles that maybe you wanted to, add, or?
I don't know do you have a list of what we talked about, Karen? Did we talk about anything?
The only one we talked about is the getting a way to do, getting licenses for people that are coming into town to open businesses, and that's an ATM, that's an annual, that's not so we don't have anything that's on a special.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'm looking to see if we could, basing it upon the discussion that we're having with FinCom over the next couple meetings, looking to see if we could, this would be a crunch time, because we're not going to be meeting on the 24th and the 31st. So this warrant would need to be signed immediately on the 7th, and we would have to line up a constable ahead of time to get that posted prior to 7 o'clock on the 7th.
Okay.
Typical.
We've done that in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So it's possible.
Yeah.
You good?
Oh, yeah.
Good,
Yep.
good.
Mhm.
Okay. Next, we have warrants and bills.
All right, I'll make a motion to pay the following warrant. AP 16, $23,076.04.
I second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye. Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay the following bills. Weston and Sampson, $7,702. Comcast, $446.49. Easy True Value, $7.78. WB Mason, $225.32. Stericycle Shred It, $128.76. Pine Ridge Technologies, $1,634. And Van Pool, that's a new one that's not on there, $5,069.39.
I second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye. Motion passes. We have no minutes. Town Administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have a few things I'd like to report on this evening to the board with. This week's been a busy week, but a short week. We're in the process of getting everybody signed up for their interviews for the Collins Center at UMass. Karen has been organizing and putting together all of the times with the different departments to get their interviews started. We're starting interviews next week. And so we're really ramping it up to get that wage classification study done. I met, as I mentioned before, with FinCom on Tuesday. We talked and discussed the articles. On Wednesday of this week, I had a meeting, myself, Jeremy, CMRPC, had a Zoom meeting about the culvert grant that we recently got, in getting that taken care of, getting some proposals together from some engineering firms to address the culvert issue. Again, this is just for engineering services, to have the engineering firm come out and do the scope, so that hopefully once we have the engineering services completed, then we can apply for a grant either from the One Stop or another state agency that will provide us funding for the actual replacement of the culvert. We are getting the schematics, the engineering done through this grant free of charge.
Is this the one on New Reed Street?
New Reed Street,
Yeah,
yep. Yep. I also attended on Wednesday Aware Business Association and Beyond meeting at Cedarbrook Village at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was good to see some of my counterparts, Stuart Beckley from Ware, Representative Smola, Senator Durant, and the Ware River News. They conducted a discussion, a forum for the candidates for the Senate seat that is currently held by Peter Durant, and it was really good to hear some of the dialogue that is going back and forth on what these candidates are going to be doing for rural communities. When we talk about what Steve Duff was just having, the challenges with funding and the inequities of funding, again, bringing this top of mind awareness to these candidates and continuing to provide that pressure to the legislature is critically important. And so we did talk about funding for rural communities and the inequities associated around that. Today, we had a senior event at our senior center. We had to celebrate Italian Heritage Month. We had a great meal put on by the senior center, and our chef down there, Paula Fitz, she put on a great chicken parmesan dinner. We had a great attendance. There was a lot of people. Yes,
I can testify on that. It was great.
Excellent cannolis.
We had cannolis. It was a great attendance, and it was good to see so many people from town utilizing the senior center and taking advantage of the services that we do provide there. And there's services. It's not just a meal. There's services that go on down there, whether it be some type of health services or training services. Now there's iPads down there for people to get comfortable with using technology. I know that there's home health aid people that come in there to give talks and to give advice. So there's things there. There's more than just meals, and that's nice to have that robust programming there for our seniors. And so we, myself, and obviously the Chairman Belize and Selectmen Ihawker were there, and then we had a walk around the building, kind of looking at some of the projects that we would like to take care of in the future for some of the exterior of the building, as well as to reaffirm the seniors and everybody that uses the senior center that there are going to be some disruptions in the upcoming months because of the new kitchen equipment that's going to be need to be installed, the new weatherization project, and the heat pumps and the new HVAC units that are going to be installed there. So there will be some interruption for a short period of time, but all to benefit the center. This week, I also I've been working with the two winners of our road construction materials / hired equipment bid. I was able to secure and finalize the contract with Murray Paving. They are complete. That contract's ready to go. Can be used now, starting now. I'm still waiting on a few more documents from Peckham Road Corp. That they are working to get them to me, and then that contract can be used. So we finalized those contracts. There will be one third contract coming before the board shortly for some of the other equipment materials that will be used in the spring for highway. So I also met with the chair of the Board of Health on some matters, talking about collaborating on different problem property issues and how we can be more effective when dealing with problem properties. And I'll be attending the Board of Health meeting on Monday at 6 to discuss some of the housing and problem property issues. And I also met with the chair of our Board of Assessors, the same individual who's the chair of the Board of Health. We are reviewing, and we went through the applications, the resumes for the assessor's clerk position. We've narrowed it down to 5 or 7 individuals that we would like to call in for interviews. I know Ms. Hardy also reviewed some of them as well, all of them, and she had picked out some of her top candidates, and Don had a chance to look at his today. Our goal is to start the interviews early next week to fill that clerical position relatively soon. That's a part-time clerical position. We had quite a few resumes to review, quite a few people that were interested in that position, which is a good thing. It gives the town, a little bit more of an opportunity to review a diverse group of applicants. We are having our active shooter training next Wednesday at 1:30 right here. Thank you, Detective Warren and the Warren PD for all that you do. And it's certainly, we have signups for all the employees if they would like to participate in that. We encourage them to participate, to sign up with Karen. Next week, I will be going to the STAM is having their annual fall meeting in Southwick. So in the morning, I will be at the STAM. That's a Small Town Administrators Association fall meeting. Followed by, I do have another meeting with our technology, our IT provider, Entree Technology, in the afternoon. I will be meeting Selectmen Ihawker there with Entree, and they're going to be having a tech festival to see some of the latest tech that they offer. So I will be attending that next Thursday. And that's about it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Very good. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Good cannolis, like he said. Thank you. Any new business?
Nope.
Any old business?
For old business, Mr. Chairman, I did reach out to Entree to have them contact you for Red Dot. I'm not sure if they.
Yes, I spoke with Doolin,
Okay.
and yeah, we have a plan.
Okay, good. All right.
And hopefully, we get it before the active shooter training.
Okay.
All right, I don't have any old business.
Yeah, that was my old business. Correspondence? None?
None.
No? Any comments or concerns?
Nope.
Nope. I have one for the fire chief, your spaghetti supper. What time is it gonna run?
I believe it's 4 to 7. I don't have the.
It is.
I'd have to, yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's, 4 to 7.
Okay. I got the tickets.
Yes, that's, it's running in conjunction with the event at the school for Halloween, so people are welcome to come back and forth between the two of them.
Good. And the public has any concerns or comments? Joe?
Joe Condrat, resident. Well, first of all, happy birthday, David, wherever you're at.
Oh yeah, we forgot about ordering pizza.
You know, over the years, I've known many members of the Board of Selectmen. And just for ha-has, I went back 70 years to see how many are still alive and functioning. And gentlemen, I actually found a couple from the late 1970s that are still alive with us. And I'm sure that you might remember at least one of them. Now, Donald Nickerson, I'm assuming he's about 92 years old now. But Leona Rubel, who is more than once active at the senior center, and these are people that if they issue an opinion, should be listened to. You don't have to agree with it, but their opinion is worthwhile because they were on the Board of Selectmen. Now, when they pass from this world, I hope that somebody on the Board of Selectmen will mention it, because it's a shame not to have that knowledge that they have finally passed. And they were worthwhile when they were on the board. They meant something to the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. So these are the years
Yes,
that they served?
yes.
The year they served, and all these
The top name is the chairman
for that year?
for that year. The second name is the vice chairman. The third name is the clerk.
And they are all alive?
Dad,
Used to.
the only two.
Only these two are alive.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, Mr. Nickerson has passed away.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I thought that, yeah, it was,
Oh, that's too bad.
yeah,
So we have one.
yeah.
That was the
In
one.
the, they did a very
Yes.
good service.
Very nice service.
Hmm.
Yeah, it should be
Mr. Nickerson was also the fire chief in town. Yep. He was a Marine and did a lot of things in town.
What could we do about it? Like make a plaque or, something for all these people? I see a lot of plaques and number here, but that didn't continue.
This is on the wall.
This,
Well, it's everybody.
everybody there?
Yeah. I mean, this is just a set of years, but that's.
Everyone there?
Yeah. But you had done that, right?
I
Last year?
sent it to you, but I didn't update
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So maybe we update it for the holidays?
it. I will update it.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody in Zoom?
Nobody in Zoom.
Okay. Our next meeting, you said it was gonna be on November 1st?
Seven.
7th? Copy. And do I have a motion
To adjourn?
to adjourn?
Yes, so moved.
Second that, all in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye. We are adjourn. Thank you very much.